I'm live from Carver Hawkeye Arena with Cy-Hawk Series updates.
New rules are headed to Iowa City schools.
An international athlete takes his talent overseas to follow his dreams.
With finals approaching, warmer weather is on the way. All of the forecasts for the rest of the week in weather.
All that and more
Coming up right now on DITV.
Good evening from Iowa City. Thank you for joining us. It is Wednesday, December 11th. I'm Johnny Veltman.
And I'm Grace Lathrop, and thank you so much for tuning into a very special night edition of DITV.
And right now we have the third member of our team at Carver Hawkeye Arena, Barry Barron, who has live updates between the Cy-Hawk game between the Iowa Hawkeyes and Iowa Cyclones.
As you guys said, I am live here in Carver Hawkeye Arena, and the atmosphere is absolutely electric. The Cyclones currently lead the Hawkeyes 19-15. The Cyclones led by Audie Crooks with 8 points, while the Hawkeyes are led by Lucy Olson and her 8 points as well. And tomorrow night, the fans will come right back to Carver as the Hawkeye men's basketball team takes on the third-ranked Iowa State Cyclones at 6:30. The men are coming off a close loss to the Michigan Wolverines, 83-85, where some late game heroics brought them right back into that one. While the Cyclone men are almost perfect this year, losing just one game to the second-ranked Auburn Tigers, but after that they've been perfect, losing only one more matchup to sixth-ranked Marquette. Now be sure to check out the Daily Iowans YouTube page for all the recaps of tonight's action and tomorrow night's action. Back to you guys.
Electric there. Wish I could be there, but we're here presenting the news. And right now we're going to send it out to our fourth member of the team, Ryan Paris, live at the Sky Bridge to tell us today's weather story.
That's right, Ryan. It's been pretty cold this week. Can we expect any temperatures to rise anytime soon?
There's snow on the ground right now, but it's set to warm up this weekend. Right now, it's just 14 degrees outside the journalism building, but it feels like -3. And we're going to have to deal with similar temperatures tomorrow as well. Taking a look at the Pentacrest, it will be around 18 degrees when we head to classes tomorrow and feel like 7. But in the afternoon, it'll remain around 18, with the wind chill dissipating, feeling like 18 as well. All of the forecast for the rest of the show later on, but for now, back to you guys in the studio.
A suspect in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has been arrested. After almost a week-long search for Thompson's killer, authorities believe that Luigi Mangione shot and killed the CEO.
Wearing a blue medical mask. As soon as we pulled that down, or we asked him to pull it down, me and my partner and I recognized him immediately, just from what we saw in the media.
Mangione was arrested in an Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's Monday morning after being noticed by an employee. At the time, Mangione was carrying a fake ID along with a gun and a silencer. Additionally, a note where he criticized corporate America and name-dropped United Healthcare.
I don't think that there's any specific threats to other people mentioned in that document, but it does seem that he has some ill will toward corporate America.
The 26-year-old made his initial court hearing yesterday morning in Pennsylvania. Mangione faces a second-degree murder charge along with 4 additional charges. Mangione's defense requested a bail, but it was denied by the judge.
And the judge makes it $100 million or $10 billion or $100,000, he's entitled to bail. But to simply say no bail, in all due respect to the judge, I believe bail should have been set.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul will now issue a governor's warrant for the arrest of Mangione so he can stand trial in New York. An Iowa senator is voicing her opinions on Department of Defense nominee. Senator Joni Ernst has expressed concerns about Donald Trump's intention to nominate Peter Hegseth to the position. Hegseth has been accused of sexual assault in light of his nomination. Ernst previously served as a lieutenant colonel in the Iowa National Guard and has made sexual assault in the military a key concern during her tenure.
I am a survivor of sexual assault. So I've worked very heavily on sexual assault measures within the military. So I'd like to hear a little more about that. I'd like to hear about the role of women in our great United States military.
Ernst and Hegseth have met several times since his nomination to discuss her concerns as well as other key issues for Iowans.
The Iowa City Police and Johnson County Sheriff's Office may be joining forces. Due to several structural issues, the two units are discussing a joint facility that would save costs and be more accessible to the community. Despite these potential changes, each unit would still maintain its own mission. Both departments will continue to convene to discuss further details.
The Iowa City Community School District is making big changes in the classroom.
DITV's Kayla Smith went to the Iowa School Board meeting to find out what's next for phones in class.
Thanks, guys. The Iowa City Community School District has finally come to a decision regarding phones in classrooms.
The school board voted to ban phones in classes after having discussed the policy since the summer.
We've done a lot of Google searching on cell phones.
The new ban means that students cannot have their phones out during instructional time, with some exceptions.
So that's not just something that teachers are just going to do on their own. They need to get their approval from the administrator prior to that happening.
Both middle schoolers and high schoolers are allowed to use phones during passing time and the students assigned lunch. High schoolers are also allowed to use their phone during open hours in designated areas like commons.
We just built these amazing common spaces. They're really great for kids, and we'd like them to stay in those common spaces.
But with these new rules, some students are speaking out against the ban, citing potential safety concerns.
And the thought of not being able to contact these people because my cell phone is locked in a bag is terrifying.
The policy passed 5-2, and the board hopes to fully implement the ban on January 21st to allow students and faculty enough time to fully understand these new expectations. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Kayla. And coming up later, a certain name gets a day of celebration.
Also, the full rundown for Hawkeye sports and the forecast for the week ahead.
All that and more coming up right after the break.
In Iowa City, history is being made every day. DITV is capturing it all. Politics, sports, and art. Local, state, and nationwide. In front of the camera, behind the scenes, DITV.
DITV. DITV. DITV. DITV.
DITV Sports.
DITV.
DITV
is capturing history.
My name's Zach Tweed.
Inflammation of the heart is one of the more common reasons that athletes die.
Only a couple months that I was here on campus, and the last Sunday in February, I felt like an elephant was sitting on me.
When something is not controllable, that's when it gets a little bit scary.
It could have been my last workout.
You see your big, strong kid laid out flat in the hospital.
I'm very fortunate that there was a tomorrow for me.
Welcome back, and thank you for tuning on to DailyIowan.com or listening to KRUI 89.7 FM.
Now let's take a look back outside to Ryan for the forecast for the week ahead.
Guys, to close out the week, we'll have one more day of frigid temperatures on Friday. It'll peak around 30, but the wind chill will return and make it feel like the teens for most of the day. On Saturday morning, though, there's a chance of snow that may turn into rain as the day goes on. But on Sunday, it should dry up and hang around the 30s all day with tons of clouds. To begin finals week, Monday's weather looks similar to Sunday. There's a slight chance of rain in the middle of the day, and temperatures will feel like the low 30s. It'll be a bit colder on Tuesday, but the sun should return for most of the day. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Ryan, and not much to see there, Grace, but it did snow earlier today. Love seeing the snow. And, I wish I could be out there tonight because the Cy-Hawk game, a lot of action going to be going on here.
Yeah, I bet Carver Hawkeye Arena is just booming right now with all the fans. But for now, we'll send it to Dravin for more updates on the game.
It's currently at halftime at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and the Iowa State Cyclones are leading Iowa 20-17. Addie Brown leading the way with 9 points for the Cyclones, while it's Lucy Olson with 8 for the Hawkeyes. Now, staying on the topic of Iowa women's basketball, Time Magazine has announced former Iowa Hawkeye Caitlin Clark as its 2024 Athlete of the Year. The Des Moines native helped increase interest in women's basketball, which has now seen significant growth in TV ratings and overall attendance. Earlier in March, Clark broke the all-time scoring record by any Division I college basketball player ever. And after being drafted to the Indiana Fever, the 22-year-old won the WNBA Rookie of the Year and made the All-WNBA first team. Clark's young basketball career has just gotten started, and she has already taken the sports world by storm. Marcus Quirk's journey continues on from a small town in Iowa to a new foreign country in Taiwan. DITV's Joel Keller has the final installment of the Quirk trilogy.
Senior year was crazy. Like, it was what we had planned over the 4 years and our goals to accomplish. Like, you know, we're going to win more games every year, and then senior year we're going to win the conference tournament. We're going to go to the national tournament, and then everything we said we were going to do, we did. And so it was just very, very gratifying.
With his 4-year degree in hand, Marcus eyed the next step of his journey, completing his master's in computer science and engineering and more basketball.
Genuinely dozens and dozens of D3 coaches reaching out, which was so weird compared to my first recruiting process, where it was just like one coach who happened to know a guy. It was really hard to turn down from just from an ego point of view, you know, as a 4-year D3 athlete, to be able to say I've got D2 schools calling and who are interested.
Quirk turned to his parents for a little bit of advice during this tough decision.
I do remember saying to him, well, you know, if you go for the one in the US, you might think later in life, oh, what that Taiwan one, well, I wish I'd done that.
Quirk decided to attend National Formosa University in Taiwan, and after 2 years there, he had just his thesis left to complete his master's. So he eyed the 2024 Plus League draft in Taiwan as his next step.
One obstacle stood in his way, however, as each team was only allowed to have one international player on their team, meaning Marcus was going to have to beat out a player already on a team.
So, of course, like as a parents, we worried as well, and you know, just hope upon hope that, you know, he will get in.
Leading up to the draft, I wasn't hearing from any teams until like 2 days before. The team with the 5th pick called me and said, we want to use the 5th pick on you. And I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. That's crazy. And then the day before the draft, they called me again and said, hey, we still want to use the 5th pick on you, but we've received word that the team with the 4th pick wants to pick you, so you might not be there for us. So the team with the 3rd pick picks me. I was like, what? I didn't expect that at all. Like, they didn't even talk to me, they didn't call me.
Yeah, it was exciting, but also, you know, there's a bit of relief there because we knew he'd put a lot, you know, staked quite a lot on it.
Even though Quirk is living out his dreams, he stays humble and compassionate, often saying how lucky he is to be in this position.
Just like being very appreciative of the fact that I have opportunities that other people don't, that maybe, I don't want to say I don't deserve them, but like a lot of people deserve these kinds of chances. And so I'm the one who's here.
I like this quote, right? Very thoughtful. And can you read that? That's so Marcus.
The rest of the season, Quirk looks to grow into an everyday starter for the Steelers, as well as move into a scoring role to help himself earn a second professional contract after his rookie deal is done. From Cornell College, I'm Joel Keller, DITV Sports.
The full story goes live on the Daily Iowans YouTube page at 9 o'clock tonight after the show. 9 Hawkeyes were named AP All-Big Ten selection. Iowa has 5 first-team All-Big Ten selections with Sebastian Castro, Connor Colby, Caden Weechin, Jay Higgins, and Caleb Johnson, most of any team in the conference. And on the second team includes Jennings Dunker, Jamari Harris, Logan Jones, and freshman Reese Dakin. Caleb Johnson was also only one of 2 players to be selected to the first team unanimously. Now I'll send it back out to Ryan with a final hit at weather.
While we're dealing with extreme cold in Iowa City, people out in California are dealing with a raging wildfire. After growing almost 3,000 acres in under 24 hours, the fire is currently threatening the city of Malibu, California. Certain areas are under mandatory evacuation orders, which includes over 2,000 structures encompassing 6,000 people. At Pepperdine University, administrators canceled classes on Tuesday following shelter-in-place orders. The fire is not currently threatening the campus. Peak fire season in California runs from June through November, but fires can still occur throughout the year. Back to Johnny and Grace in the studio.
Thank you, Ryan. And before we go tonight, folks, we'd like to tune you into a DITV exclusive. AJ Reister has a wonderful story that, I love just watching it over. So we'll send it out to him with his DITV exclusive piece.
Thank you for tuning in to our first ever DITV exclusive. Tonight we are sharing the story of Hawkeye linebacker Zach Tweet. You've probably never heard of Zach. He's only recorded one tackle since stepping on campus in 2021, but his story is nothing short of remarkable. From the family farm in Story City, Iowa, Zach's dream was of course to play under the bright lights, but an unexpected health issue nearly cost him his football career and life. Here is the story of how Zach Tweet battled his way from the Stead Family Children's Hospital to the bright lights of Kinnick Stadium.
Generally speaking, small towns, they don't have a bunch of kids in high school. You know, I think our graduating class was roughly 94 kids, somewhere in there. Our high school in general had about a little under 400 people. So with that being said, you know, it's kind of normal for kids to play all four sports. And so that's something that I did.
Zach's recruitment was very similar to a lot of others that have come out of small towns, small cities, small communities within this state. You hear about somebody and then you start digging a little bit deeper, especially when it comes to the position coach. And at the time, Jay Neiman, our assistant defensive line coach, was the area coach. And Jay spoke extremely highly of Zach.
As I kind of got older, there was more exposure for me in football for after high school. I haven't had a family member from the Tweet side of things attend a Division I university and play a Division I sport. I started getting recruited by Iowa State my 8th grade year. I made my way over here for an Iowa camp and eventually got a scholarship to play football here. So I think it was later that fall, I ended up decommitting from Iowa State and committed to Iowa. Geez, so I ended up graduating high school early. I came here in, I want to say January of 2021. I think so, yep, January 2021. There was still a lot of isolation going on, primarily all online classes. It was interesting, you know, I showed up, I didn't have a beard at the time, so I still kind of had the baby face. But being a part of some of my first classes, you know, I was with legitimate freshmen or sophomores or juniors, and you know, hey, I'd introduce myself. My name's Zach Tweet. Technically still a senior in high school, but I'm here from Story City, Iowa. And yeah, it was only a couple months that I was here on campus. I believe it was February 27th or 8th. It was a Sunday, the last Sunday in February. You know, I just had my cousin's wedding that Saturday, somewhere over in Des Moines. Drove back Sunday, all day Sunday, just started having kind of this heavy chest pain. Felt like an elephant was sitting on me. It was hard to breathe, kind of a challenge for each breath. I didn't really think much of it. You know, obviously you try and be the tough guy, tough it out. But I got to a point where I was laying down that night, and even before falling asleep, it's just really hard to breathe. And I don't know, it is a little scary, a little discouraging. And so I ended up making a phone call that night to the hospital, and he was like, hey, these are the symptoms that I have. It's hard to breathe, some pretty good chest pain. I've had it all day. And, you know, sir, you should be in an ambulance. Come to the hospital right now. I was like, well, I'm about 10 minutes away from the hospital. I'll just walk there. I'll see you in a little bit. And so ended up making my way to the emergency room. And, you know, I get there and, oh, are you the guy who called? Yep. And rushed me back really quick. Started doing a bunch of tests. They weren't able to figure out what it was initially at first. They're doing some x-rays. You know, I don't recall exactly what the diagnosis was at first, but within a few hours, they figured out that it was myocarditis.
The vast majority of people that have chest discomfort don't have inflammation in their heart from a virus, but you have to have a heightened awareness. And during the early stages of COVID, we didn't know what the extent of heart involvement was from the virus. Once you get diagnosed with that, you are, by the guidelines, restricted from activities for 3 months. And then prior to returning back to participation, you have to go through a series of tests. And if those tests are not normal, if there's any abnormalities, it could be up to 6 months before you return to activity, because inflammation in the heart is one of the more common reasons that athletes die, have a sudden cardiac arrest. And half the athletes that have cardiac arrest associated with inflammation of the heart. We could tell that the virus was affecting his heart because there were signs of inflammation in the heart, and it's a spectrum, but his was on the more severe side.
So I was stuck in the adult hospital for about a night, and then it was the rest of the week I got moved up to the UI Children's Hospital.
You know, it's heartbreaking to see your big, strong kid laid out flat in the hospital.
To take on something like this that was gonna force him to take a step back from the football side of things. That's where things shifted a little bit, and the priorities had to be placed on making sure that his health was number one, and football, was down the road.
Every day had this crazy migraine going on. I've never had a migraine in my life, but it was all a result of the treatment that I was getting. It was called an IVIG. It's some anti-inflammatory that they put in, and also kind of helps expedite the healing of the heart. So I had to do that. Treatment was probably about 4 days, I want to say. And it was also one of those things where they had to do my vitals every single hour, regardless of the time. I was definitely a little nervous about what would happen, or what this would mean for my football career, or what it would mean for the rest of my life, because again, I know that there's some crazy things that pop up in other people's lives and they're stuck with it permanently, and it leaves an everlasting mark and their life is forever changed. And so the fact that that did not happen to me, I was very fortunate for it.
So once it was time for him to exercise again after his time off and time resting, he came in for an exercise test. So that was after his cardiac MRI, after his hospitalization, after this time off that he couldn't participate in activities. And then my role then is to then exercise them in a VO2 max test. None of them super enjoy it, but we try to make it a good time.
His journey, in some sense, was a little quicker than some. I think he bought into it. I also think that he's a great spokesman to say, listen, this is serious. So once he bought into the process, he was a great advocate.
If I didn't take it the mature way that I did and admitted myself into the hospital and walked over, I don't know what could have happened. If I would have, I had workouts the next morning, and if I would have went to the workout and tried to act like nothing was wrong, it could have been my last workout. It's hard, very hard telling. I don't know.
You look at the amount of time and effort Zach put into football and the amount of work he put into it, and just like that, on a fluke, medical condition, it could have been all over. Like I tell Zach all the time, he mentions, well, I don't know, I'll be on some special teams and this and that. I'm like, Zach, you're there. You're at the big table. Stop, look around, and breathe it in. Enjoy the moment.
It was very neat to be able to overlook Kinnick because, during my recruiting process, that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to do, or I wanted to be a part of. The greatest tradition in all of college football, waving at the Children's Hospital on game day. For it to be, the roles were just reversed for me at such an early stage. So to have that kind of perspective on it completely altered my thought process and how I think about it, and how much the wave genuinely now means to me. I always say one of the most selfish things you can do is helping someone else out. And people ask, why is it selfish? And I say, well, the feeling, the gratitude, the warm heart that you get from helping someone else is something you cannot put a price tag on. It's a very unique feeling. There's nothing else in this world that can give you that type of tingling throughout your body other than helping someone else out. I like to prioritize or tell people, hey, whenever you have the time, go run over to the hospital. Go give them 5, 10, 15 minutes every day, because, they're stuck up there. They don't really get to go out and experience life like we do on a daily basis. I'm very fortunate that there was a tomorrow for me, whereas I know that that's not the case for all the kids up there.
Since his diagnosis, the University of Iowa has taken more precautions and now perform random testing on athletes' hearts, not just in football, but across all sports. Courtney Peterson said that because of Zach, more players have come in to get tested. Zach's story has already made an impact and has possibly saved the lives of other fellow Hawkeyes. From the University of Iowa, AJ Reister, DITV.
Thank you so much for that amazing story, AJ. Now, Johnny, I hear today is a very special day for you.
It is, and my name, we call me Johnny. I'm actually John, and it is National John Day. And as a John myself, I say this is the best day ever. Just think about all the amazing Johns out there besides me. Of course, there's John Cena, Kennedy, Goodman, and more. But with that, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to DITV's tonight's special edition final show of the semester coming up Friday morning at 8:30. We'll see you then.